Welcome, fellow educators, to this explainer. If you are completely tired of watching your high school students just kind of zone out during traditional vocabulary drills, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're taking rote memorization and transforming it into a high-energy, totally collaborative vocabulary game for your 9th through 12th graders. We are breaking down this incredibly powerful interactive review strategy that's going to get literally every single student in your room talking, synthesizing, and actually mastering academic language.
So, for our masterclass agenda today, we are going over meeting the power grid, how to play the game, structuring your specific subject pyramid, checking out examples across the curriculum, and wrapping up with some pro facilitation tips.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, Meet the Power Grid.
Imagine your classroom actually buzzing with energy, like a literal lightning bolt of engagement. The Vocab Power Grid is this awesome collaborative review game that's directly inspired by that classic TV game show, The $100,000 Pyramid. Instead of having kids sit silently matching definitions on a worksheet, which we know doesn't always stick, this strategy relies heavily on speed, synonyms, and context clues. It totally forces students to quickly retrieve and synthesize their content knowledge, and they have to do it under a strict time limit. It takes vocabulary review and turns it into a team sport. And what's brilliant about that is it lowers academic anxiety while leveraging peer interaction to really lock in that memory retention.
Now, if there is one absolute golden rule to remember, it's this: describe it, don't say it. Students are challenged to describe these academic terms to a teammate without ever actually saying the word itself. No saying parts of the word, absolutely no rhyming, and definitely no sounds-like clues. They have to rely entirely on the actual definitions, real-world examples, and key characteristics. And honestly, this is exactly what pushes students way beyond simple memorization and right into higher-level processing.
Let's move on to Section 2, How to Play the Game. Setting this up in your classroom is a breeze. It really just takes 3 simple steps. First up, you pair students into teams and assign rotating roles so everyone gets equal practice both speaking and listening. Second, you set a lightning round timer. And third, you just unleash them into rapid recall and guessing. Because the pace is so incredibly fast, it completely kills overthinking and forces students to just trust their immediate conceptual associations.
To break those roles down just a little bit further, picture this. The clue giver is the one facing the board. They look at the grid of words and start frantically describing the terms. Meanwhile, the guesser is sitting with their back entirely to the screen. Their whole job is to listen intently to those clues and rapidly shout out the correct vocabulary words. And once that timer dings, they immediately swap.
All right, Section 3, Structuring Your Subject Pyramid.
This is where it gets really interesting, because you get to build and populate the game board for your specific students. You're going to want to curate a board containing about 15 to 20 key vocabulary terms. And for older or more advanced high schoolers, you can actually organize this grid into implicit conceptual categories. Take U.S. history, for example. One row of your pyramid might be entirely focused on causes of the Great Depression, while the row right under it features New Deal programs. As students play, they subconsciously start recognizing how all these individual terms relate to broader historical concepts. It's a real game changer.
To give you an idea of what this actually sounds like in the wild, let's step into a math classroom. Imagine a frantic clue giver staring at the term y-intercept, right? But they can't say y, and they can't say intercept. So, under all this pressure, they yell, "Where the line crosses the vertical axis on a graph when x equals 0. Their partner connects those mathematical characteristics and, bam, shouts out the answer.
Or jump over to a science classroom. A student looks at the grid, sees the term mitochondria, and they immediately start rapid-firing characteristics. The powerhouse of the cell, where cellular respiration happens. It generates ATP. You see how much more powerful this is than a standard multiple-choice test? They have to actively generate those connections entirely from their own prior learning.
And in an ELA classroom, it's all about circumlocution, basically talking around the word. A student trying to get their partner to guess foreshadowing might say, when the author drops hints early in the story about what's going to happen later, like the weather changing before something bad happens. This is a massive hidden benefit of the strategy. If a student forgets the exact textbook definition, they actually learn how to describe the concept around the word, which builds incredible communication skills.
Okay, moving to Section 4, Examples across the curriculum. Now, you might be thinking this is only for core testing subjects, but no way. It adapts beautifully across diverse electives and specialized programs too. It's a highly versatile tool. Whether you were dealing with Tier 2 academic language, really complex industry-specific vocabulary, or even a world language classroom, the overarching goal is always the same: building verbal communication, teamwork, and rapid recall through that high-energy peer interaction. Plus, it's a fantastic way to support multilingual learners, giving them a really structured, low-stakes environment to practice speaking and listening. You can literally take that exact same 15 to 20 word pyramid structure and seamlessly drop it into a career and technical education class to review industry terminology. You can use it in ROTC for military ranks and protocols. Physical education teachers use it for muscle groups, theater directors for stage directions, and world language teachers can use it to build conversational fluency. The framework just works everywhere, across the whole shebang.
Finally, let's hit Section 5, Pro Facilitation Tips. Because we all know games can sometimes devolve into total chaos, right? First tip, mastering the 30-second reset is absolutely critical. Throw a massive digital timer up on the board. You want strict, snappy rounds, usually 30 to 60 seconds max. That fast pace is what prevents the game from dragging, it keeps the energy sky high, and it makes sure students stay hyper-focused. And crucially, as you plan your timeline, you must always reserve 2 minutes at the end for a post-game debrief.
Second tip, enforce the rules strictly. High schoolers are incredibly clever and they will naturally hunt for loopholes. They'll try spelling the word out loud, pointing at things in the room, or doing wild charades gestures. To combat this, just appoint a student referee for each group. The referee's one and only job is to ensure clues remain purely verbal and conceptual.
And hey, once your students have mastered the basics, turn up the heat a little. You can dial up the rigor by requiring them to use complete academic explanations rather than just shouting single-word synonyms. You can ban the most common clue words, for instance, making them explain mitochondria without being allowed to use the word powerhouse. You can even flip the script entirely and have students categorize the terms after they play, or have them generate their own grids for their classmates to solve.
Which brings us to the most important part of the entire strategy, the debrief. What better way to transform a quick, gamified activity into a deeply meaningful formative assessment than by just asking your students this exact question? Take 2 minutes at the end of class and ask, which words were the hardest to describe without saying them and why? Their answers are going to immediately reveal exactly where their conceptual gaps lie and tell you exactly what you need to reteach tomorrow. So looking at your current lesson plans, which 15 words are you going to put into your very first Power Grid?